you're at home during the pandemic when you weren't able to go out, places were closed, you weren't supposed to be meeting new people. A lot of people were communicating online.
Right.
They were chatting over the computer. They were doing Zoom dates.
Yeah.
Well, now that things have opened back up, restrictions have been lifted. Well, some are going back in place, but for the most part, you can now go out and about. A lot of people who are single are apparently, they're feeling apprehensive about it. Like they don't know how to act around people now and how to, that's so sad. Yeah, how to act after a year of not being social. So a lot of photo going on, and apparently 44% of relationship seekers have been stricken with photo.
Some people have just very small, acute cases of that, and they call it baby photo.
Very cute, too. Very, very cute. That's for sure. How cute.
Yes, indeed.
Also very cute.
All right. Thank you very much, Heather. All right, coming up next, the Lions have a new offense. They also have a new offensive coordinator. You'll hear from him coming up next, 97.1.
What's up, everybody? Nick Costos here with the Bet River Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by Bet River Sportsbook, Detroit's hometown sportsbook.
Hey, it's Ken Barkley filling in for Nick Costos. Let's take a look at the pro football futures market, focusing on win totals. Kansas City has the highest win total in the league at over under 12.5. Then it's Tampa Bay at over under 11.5. I see value in over 6.5 wins for Philadelphia. They have a new coach and defensive coordinator, both of whom are extremely well regarded among other coaches and scouts. Their quarterback could improve a lot from the coaching change as he enters year 2, and there's still so much talent on the roster. No one in this division is going to run away and hide, and the new regime wants to make their mark. So I think you get good buy-in all 17 games. I'd take Philly over 6.5.
That's it for this Bet River Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by Bet River Sportsbook, Detroit's hometown sportsbook. Check out the latest lines today at BetRivers.com. I'm Nick Costos. Keep it locked here for more throughout the day. Must be 21, playable in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-270-7117. Safety partner, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, committed to helping keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call clickgranger.com/safety or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
With Cricket Wireless, you get everything you want in a great wireless plan.
Everything?
Yeah, like nationwide 5G speeds for non-stop downloading. Everything.
Are you saying super fast 5G downloading right before you get on the plane? Everything?
Yep, your favorite shows and movies just in time for the flight. Everything.
Everything you need.
It's everything you want, including the price. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Speed restrictions apply. Containing standard definition. Compatible plan. Device required for 5G access, which may not be available in your area for 5G coverage. See cricketwireless.com/net.
last year, should probably still be the head coach of the LA Chargers. One of the stars of Hard Knocks last year, Anthony Lynn, the offensive coordinator.
I don't know about that. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, what was that like? Because we, as Lion fans, the Lions have never been on Hard Knocks. We, for whatever reasons, was it a good experience or did you hate it?
You know, I've been on Hard Knocks before, and they do a professional job of trying not to be a distraction and staying out of our way. So it was a good crew, I can tell you that.
Now that you're here in Detroit, obviously one of the things that I experienced in Washington in my time was we always had a new coach, had a new coordinator, had new offenses. Where are you guys at, and what are the steps that you are doing to implement a new offense?
I'll tell you, right now, you know, we've been in shorts for a while. Tomorrow we're going to really evaluation when we put the pads on, but I still have a pretty good idea. You know, I like what we have in the offensive line. This is one of the biggest offensive lines I've ever had, to be honest with you. And, you know, we're just taking a real hard look at our skill position players, our running backs, our wide receivers, tight ends, and just trying to see exactly what we can do personnel group-wise. But I think it's really coming together. The guys are working hard, and they're really doing some good things.
Everybody always focuses on the quarterback in here with the guy who's been here for so long, Matthew Stafford, who's now with the Rams, as you know. Jared Goff is here. What do you like so far the most about Jared Goff?
You know, it's his arm talent, his accuracy. You know, that's very important at the quarterback position. And his decision-making in the new offense is getting better. Yesterday, I thought he had one of his best practices. And it wasn't necessarily balls down the field. When the defense took the defense away, he had the patience to take what they gave him. And, you know, and that's really critical, just completions and moving the sticks. But he's picking up the offense very well. I mean, and that whole room I liked. Tim Walls, David Blau, those guys are sharp, man.
What was it like watching David Blau's wife? We saw the highlights, we saw all that stuff, but you guys were in the room and cheering him on, cheering her on. What was that moment like as a team?
You know what? I feel like my wife was out there.
It's a family.
It was exciting,
yeah.
And just sitting in the back row, you know, where the coaches were and watching David up in the front row, it was awesome to see him.
It's intense.
Trip for his wife like that.
So one of the things that we hear about Jared Goff is somewhat what you mentioned, his patience and checking down. But that also doesn't mean that he can't make that big play, that explosive play downfield, right?
Oh, he's made a lot of plays downfield this count.
Yeah.
I mean, not this count, but over the all season, his arm talent is really nice. And I'm looking forward to just some good hard run action. You know, when you get the pass, when you get in games, things open up because you can run the football. Yeah. Out here, these are almost like passing camps until you get the pads on, you know. So, but his arm down the field, I mean, his balls are good.
Anthony Lynn joins us talking about the passing game. Look, we had Calvin here for a while. Galladay was here. He left. People question the wide receivers. Tell us about the wide receiver group. Should people be excited?
You know, Tyrell Williams, Rashad, I mean, those guys are stepping up. And even Khalif and guys like Victor Bolden. You know, these guys that people don't know much about, but I'm telling you, you know, these guys have a unique skill set, and I'm going to put them in the right positions, and I like what they're doing so far.
What about St. Brown? Everybody seems to think he's going to be the sleeper of the draft almost.
You know what? He could be. I mean, he's bigger than what people think, and he's tough. You know, I like the way he mixes it up inside. You know, he's held up a slot receiver.
And Hockenson is obviously a big part of that game. TJ Hockenson, your tight end. Is he everything that you expected him to be?
Absolutely. I mean, I think TJ can be a matchup nightmare for a lot of safeties and linebackers in this league. And if we get him in those situations, then we're definitely going to use him. And don't forget about Swift coming out of the backfield. Yeah. I mean, that young man's good in space.
Yeah.
Anthony Lynn joins us here. Your time with the Chargers, you had a young quarterback, Justin Herbert. Was he better than you thought he was going to be?
He was good when I saw him on tape. We took him at 6 for a reason. Yeah. But he's unbelievable. He has a big arm. He's mobile. He can move. You know, he's sharp. You know, I got nothing but love for Justin, but I don't like talking about players on other teams.
I do want to ask this question because I want to get to Penei Sewell as well. Are kids coming out of, and they are kids, coming out of college, are they further along mentally in understanding the game of football than they were maybe when you and I played?
You know, I would say
Because there's so many 7-on-7s. There's so many different things that
quarterbacks have their own individual coaches, former players, and things.
NFL is somewhat of a different style, but I'm a big high school football fan. I watch high school football Friday nights, and I just knew watching 10 years ago, this was going to turn into a speed-space league because of what the high schools were doing and the colleges are doing. They're more familiar with the spread, and we're more traditional. We still believe in running the football in that football league if you're going to win a championship, and but you can't take guys that have been in 2-point stances their whole life and then put them in 3-point stances. You got to let them do what they're used to doing, and we are making those adjustments. You see more of that throughout the league, especially on our team this year.
I do want to ask one thing from the past. As you know, you mentioned you guys took Herbert 6th. The Lions had the 3rd pick in the draft. Did you think of moving up to try to get it, or were you kind of, you knew the Lions weren't going to take a quarterback, so you were going to take whoever Miami didn't?
Well, we wanted Justin. I mean, obviously we thought about moving up,
right?
But we stayed put and it worked out.
Yeah, it definitely worked out.
It worked out. Yeah, I think the world of him. I think he's going to be a great.
Yeah, you called it. He thought he was going to be better than Tua.
Well, as a rookie, and now we'll see how Tua develops, how Justin Herbert continues to develop, but. Before you sat down, I asked you about Penei Sewell, and you made a comment that this is the biggest offensive line that you've been around. Tell us a little bit more about your expectations for this offensive line and the fact that you still, even in a passing league, you got to dominate up front. You got to be able to run the football.
When you can dominate up front, man, you make up for a lot of wrongs. I'm telling you that right now.
Yes.
But you look at the teams that are in it at the end. They can all run the football. So yeah, we like to put them in space and throw them the ball. But at the end of the day, if you cannot run the football, it's hard to go far. If you do make it to the playoffs, because this league is too good to be one-dimensional. These athletes are too good. You got to have balance.
How has he handled the transition from being primarily a left tackle in college to moving to that right side?
He's handled it well, and I talked to him about that a little bit when I went to Oregon's pro day. He said, "Coach, I was a right tackle in high school. He moved to left when he got to college, so it wasn't something that he's never done before. But I tell you what, he's a sharp young man. He come from a coaching family. His dad's been a high school coach for the last 19 years. He gets it, man."
And sticking with the offensive line, obviously, John, especially, I haven't seen yet because I haven't been here, but I heard Vitai's in great shape.
Vitai looks excellent. The whole right side is new. With Vitai being there at guard and Penei being there at tackle, but I like the communication that's going on there, especially with the center right now.
And obviously, today it's still no pads. How excited are you to finally tomorrow walk out and see these guys walk out in full pads?
That's going to be nice,
I was so disappointed that it wasn't today. I was really hoping that today was going to be the day.
Yeah, we play American football, not rugby.
Thank you. Oh, man, you just made my day.
Yeah, I got to tell you, this guy was so excited. He was like shaking 2 days before. He wanted to bring his helmet, but it was under lock and key.
I got one for you.
Hey, I'm in. Being a player, right? It never leaves your blood. You're just always excited about the game of football because there's something about this game that's different than any other game. It's special. How do you see the game of football?
I think you just described it really well, man. It is special. And I mean, a lot of sports are special. And they'll say, basketball, but they all say the same thing. But in football, it's just, I've never played a sport that taxes you mentally and physically and emotionally like football. If you don't come together as one and pull in one direction, you got no chance. And so it's neat when you do come together. You make friends for life in this business. And a lot of people are raised in this business.
Yeah.
Like me.
Yes,
I heard you say that you were going to take the year off, but you decided to come back because of Dan Campbell. What about Dan Campbell made you come back?
When I was with Dan in Dallas, Dan and Aaron Glenn, they were players on that team. And, Aaron and I talked a little bit. And then later on, Dan and I talked a little bit, about this coaching thing. We've always been in contact. And, it just reminded I was going to take the year off, but when they called, I couldn't say no. I could not. And I could see myself coming here every single day, giving them everything I had. And I think those are two special people. Love them both, and I'm glad to be here with them.
Yeah, look, nationally, from his introductory press conference with the kneecaps and the stuff, people kind of, it's a Lions games, they're making fun of Dan Campbell. To me, from afar, he seems like that's just who he is, and I think the players and the rest of your coaching staff just love him.
No, Dan's very authentic. You know, what you see is what you get, man, and that's just the way he is, and the culture that he's building around here right now, it's just really good.
What's the chemistry like, Ben, with the offensive staff? Because, you know, obviously you're a former player, Mark Brunell, Antoine Randall, a couple of my former teammates, Hank Fraley, I played against him in the NFC East.
It's a pretty good team.
It's a pretty good team, but what's the chemistry like having so many former players be now on this side of it, the coaching side of it?
You know what? I love it because, you know, when you Hank Fraley and you've been there and you've been in those shoes, you know, you have an intuition that maybe someone else never going to have because he's experienced it. But Hank learned how to coach and learned how to teach.
Yeah.
And he has that experience. Same with Randall, it's the same, you know. So I love what those guys bring to the table, the ideals, the way they communicate and relate to the players. You know, and I always say, you know, it's all about communication and relationships. Spike Dykes told me that a long time ago when I played for him at Texas Tech. You know, he said, no matter how far you go in football, this is a relationship business, kid. And he was right, because it doesn't matter what you know if you can't relate and communicate with them.
Is there anybody that talks more or has more energy than Randall L?
I don't know. He has a lot of energy.
You know who talks a lot? Jamal Williams, and he's a pretty damn good player, too.
I love his energy.
Yeah.
You mentioned Texas Tech. I just throw this out to you. What do you think of the landscape of college football? They might, you know, the Big 12 might fall apart. As an alum,
someone told me that about a week ago, and it's just hard to imagine. You know, I couldn't imagine Southwest Conference,
right,
you know, falling apart, but it did. So
it used to be the Big 10 had 10 teams, and the Big 8 had 8. It's like now it's just it's crazy. It's only going to get crazier.
Yeah.
Anthony, we appreciate the time, and hopefully it can help bring success back to this organization, who obviously, as you know, definitely it's been a long time.
Well, we're excited. We're excited to be here, and we're working at it right now.
All right, thanks. That's Anthony Lynn, the offensive coordinator of your Detroit Lions. It's the Stoney and Jansen Show here on 97.1 The Ticket.
Hey, I want to tell you about my bank and the reasons that I chose my bank. That is Level One Bank. First of all, they're a local community bank. That's where I do my checking, my savings, it's especially my mortgage. They took the time to get to know me and understand my situation. They educated me throughout the entire mortgage process and were responsive with all my questions. Level One Bank offers competitive mortgage rates and a wide array of mortgage products. You can even schedule a free, no obligation consultation to see how much home you can afford or how much you could save if you just refi. I called them and I just wanted to know what I could get in my mortgage. It was great. I got my initial mortgage there, and then I called them again at the beginning of the pandemic and said, hey, what can I save if I refinance? And it was an unbelievably simple process. Level One Bank is a local community bank, Michigan-based, for Michigan families, with loan officers that live and bank locally right in your own neighborhoods. You can trust the local mortgage experts at Level One Bank. For more information, go to level1bank.com/John Jansen Mortgage. That's level1bank.com/John Jansen Mortgage. Level One Bank is a member of the FDIC and an equal housing lender.
97.1 The Ticket. Traffic.
From the WWJ AM 950 Traffic Center, this report brought to you by Duncan. No accidents on the drive this morning, but traffic volumes are beginning to build. I-75 heading southbound approaching Big Beaver, and on 275 between South Huron Road and 94. Duncan has what you need to conquer the day, like a layered velvety caramel macchiato, a rich chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary. I'm Michelle Pena with traffic.
Odyssey is your new home for all the audio that matters to you. Download the Odyssey app today.
This is Zach Gelb with an Odyssey Sports Minute, sponsored by Pepto-Bismol, making upset stomachs happy for over 100 years. I do expect Kawhi Leonard to re-sign with the Los Angeles Clippers. Kawhi will listen to offers, but I would be surprised if he chose to dip out of LA after only 2 seasons. My question is, can Kawhi Leonard and Paul George coexist together and win a championship? The last 2 years for the Clippers have been extremely disappointing. In year one, Paul George was terrible, blowing a 3-1 lead in the playoffs. And then in year two, Paul George did step up, but Kawhi Leonard was hurt, and we all knew that Clippers team wasn't winning at all without Kawhi. Can Paul George consistently show up in the big moments? And can Kawhi Leonard stay healthy? Based off what I've seen through the first 2 years of this marriage, if I was a Clippers fan, I wouldn't be reserving a spot for a championship parade anytime soon. I'm Zach Gill.
Napa know-how. Right now, a 5-quart jug of Napa full synthetic motor oil is just $18.99. It keeps your engine from breaking down without breaking the bank. Yep, a 5-quart jug of Napa full synthetic for $18.99 is not just a great deal. It's the break you've been waiting for. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how. Napa know-how. At participating locations does not include cyclical taxes or recycling fees. Advertised sales price may not be available in some states. Offer ends 8/31/21.
My stomach.
Don't worry, I've got you covered.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. What's that?
It's Pepto-Bismol chews.
Pepto-Bismol's in a chew?
Yeah, they taste great and provide fast relief. And you can always have Pepto-Bismol handy.
Let me try it.
Try Pepto-Bismol chews for fast relief.
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
So then I dropped some garlic and croutons on there, and the rest is salad history. I made the best salad ever,
At
people.
the next light, turn
and now
right.
I'm making the best app. The Caesar Sportsbook app got live in-game betting, parlays, and season rewards. Caesar salad ain't got nothing on my app. Nothing.
Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Gambling Disorder Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Download the Caesar Sportsbook app. Your app is ready, Emperor.
You can't enjoy anything when your house is hot. That's what Karen and her family were dealing with.
In the summertime, getting ready upstairs was really unpleasant because we would sweat. And so we'd come downstairs, cool off, go back upstairs and get ready.
So they had to set their thermostat really low, which meant a high electric bill.
We would set it at like 68 degrees. It would be maybe comfortable.
So they did what many of their neighbors had done. They called USA Insulation.
After USA Insulation, if you set it at 68 degrees, you're cold. You wake up frozen. So it's kind of interesting to see where all of it was basically just going out the walls and out the roof.
And then they got their electric bill.
Since USA Insulation, it has cut our utility bill in half. It's been better than we expected.
Are you ready to stop sweating and start saving? Right now, you can get your attic insulated for free when they foam your walls. But that ends this month. 1-800-USA-FOAM. That's 1-800-USA-FOAM or USAinsulation.net.
Making a turn.
Hey Detroit, it's Tanya Milan with exciting news. Our brand new facility in Emily City is finally complete. We're all moved in and we're open to the public. Come see us today at the all-new Milan Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in beautiful Emily City or click MilanChrysler.com.
Breaking news on 97.1 The Ticket, powered by Odyssey and presented by BetQL. Become a better sports bettor. Get smarter to beat the books. Download the BetQL app or visit BetQL.com today. The names you trust. The teams you love. Live from the Jamie Samuelson studio, here's Stoney and Jansen.
97.1 The Ticket. Coming up later on the program, we go from the Lions Pro Bowl center, Frank Ragnow. Yesterday, NBA free agency started. We have lots of agreements. In principle, nothing can be signed officially till Friday. I didn't do the math, but I think when you consider, the length of these contracts for some of these players, I think owners spent about $1 billion, if not more, yesterday. Something like that.
Oh, easily over $1 billion.
Crazy. I mean, some of it was nuts. You look at
Trae Young.
Trae Young, yes, that was like overnight, kind of ridiculous. Well,
yes, a fifth of $1 billion. I mean, if we're going with billions.
Yeah. Chris Paul, 4 years, $120 million. Other ones of interest, Jared Allen. People say, well, maybe the Pistons, they already made some plumbing, maybe to clear some room for Jared Allen. 5 years, $100 million for Jared Allen, a great throw. Kyle Lowry in a sign of trade gets a lot of money. Tim Hardaway, there was rumors that he was going to get sent here.
Stay in the left 3 lanes.
He got a hell of a lot of money. Right?
Yeah, 4 years, 72.
Exactly. Like I mentioned, the Bulls get Alonzo Ball. And Alonzo Ball, 4 years, $85 million. That was a sign of trade. They also get Alex Caruso, 4 years, $36 little steep, but third year's team option. So
In 2 miles, take exit 14C onto M39 and Southfield
Freeway.
Freeway.
From the outside for a big man, and we know that's the way the NBA is progressing. He creates space for guys like Cade Cunningham and Jeremy Grant and others. And the Pistons, let's face it, were not a very good three-point shooting team, with the exception of maybe Sadiq Bey. And granted, he played for a crappy team in the second part of the season last year after the deadline. But he, in 27 games with the Rockets last year, did average 19 points a game, shot about 50% from the field.
Right.
Trey Lyles was at one time a first-round pick of the Miami Heat. He's a reserve. He's okay, not a great player. Averages about 7.3 points a game throughout his career. 6'9", he's 25 years old. Not a great player, but decent. Corey Joseph, who was probably at one point too good for the Pistons, that they had to shut him down a little bit as they quote unquote tank. Let's look.
Stay in the second lane from right.
He's playing too well. 30 years old. He gets 2 years, $10 million. So I like what they did. They still have some money left for the exception and things like
Use
that.
the right 2 lanes to take exit 14C onto M39 and Southfield Freeway.
Lyles and Athletic for a lesser extent, but particularly Trey Lyles. The message has been sent to Seiko.
Take the exit.
Get your act together, and it wouldn't surprise me. Guys like Sekou, Luka Garza, and even Isaiah Livers. That's going to be your starting front three for the Motor City Cruise of the G League. Would not stun me at all.
No, and for Isaiah Livers and for Luka Garza, honestly, for all of them, I think that's a great move.
Yeah.
That's a great experience, because Luka Garza, when you look at like Kelly Olynyk, and I know that there was a video that was out there.
Take exit 1 to merge onto I-94 toward Chicago.
And that's great, right? But it's practice, and you got to show that you can win the game.
He was wearing like jeans.
Well, but he's also, over the course of his career at Iowa, he was a very good three-point shooter. He just didn't take a lot of shots. I think he averaged 3 behind the line, and he was shooting somewhere actually near 40%, maybe just a touch over 40%. But, at 6'10", 6'11", his body type is very much like Kelly Olynyk. And if, he can learn a little bit from him and maybe take some of what we've heard, that he lost 30 pounds, and he also wants to make sure he doesn't get too light. But I think that's a great way for these guys to gain the experience that they'll need and develop to get into a position to contribute, in the big leagues.
And some other signings of interest. The Nets are bringing back Blake Griffin. And it looks like the Washington Wizards are going to replace Russell Westbrook with former Piston Spencer Dinwiddie, who's coming off an injury. The Pelicans get Devontae Graham. When you look, though, at what these teams are going to look like, everybody says, well, now that the Pistons have Cade Cunningham, they can make the playoffs. Not so fast. Because the East, who's the best team in the East? If they stay healthy, probably Brooklyn, but Milwaukee did win the NBA championship, right?
Yes.
And I know there's going to be a lot of Miami Heat love out there. They got, Butler back, Duncan Robinson back, lots of guys, Kyle Lowry going to the Miami Heat. Heart and soul guy, really great teammate, takes lots of charges, well coached. But to me, Brooklyn's still the favorite if they're healthy, and Milwaukee and Chicago got a lot better, I think, with Lonzo Ball to go with Zach LaVine.
Yes.
Russo. It's not going to be easy for the Pistons. Philadelphia hasn't done anything. They might get worse, but they still have Joel Embiid and Simmons for now.
No, but maybe they get into a position to
maybe just get that play-in.
That's what I was going to say. You get into that play-in, and it creates some buzz at the end of the year, and hopefully they can, if they're able to get into the playoffs next year, great. If not, really know that many people are expecting them to.
No, so all the teams around here, just temper your expectations. But I like what they did. It makes them a better team than they were last year, and of course, Cade Cunningham himself makes them a better team than they were last year. All right, coming up next, when you recall this for the first time, you remember. That's coming up next, 97.1.
WXYT FM and WXYT HD1 Detroit. An Odyssey station. Sports headlines all day
Olympic medal, tying an American gymnast record. She takes the bronze this morning on the balance beam. Kevin Durant with 29 points, leading USA men's basketball over Spain, 95-81. They advance to the medal round. NBA free agency, the Pistons adding a center, Kelly Olynyk, 3 years, $37 million. They also signed Corey Joseph and Trey Lyles. Wayne Ellington Jr. goes to the Lakers. Kyle Lowry goes to Miami. The Bulls signed Lonzo Ball and Ellis Caruso. The Hawks give Trae Young a $207 million extension. Duncan Robinson stays in Miami. Chris Paul stays with Phoenix. Mike Conley staying in Utah. Tim Hardaway Jr. stays with the Mavericks. And Derrick Rose stays with New York. Tiger baseball tonight right here at 97. Won the ticket against Boston at Comerica Park. Willie Peralta against Garrett Rogers. First pitch at 7:10. And Eric Haas becomes the first Tiger to win the American League Rookie of the Month award since 2010. Lions continue open training camp in Allen Park today. First day they will practice some pads. At the ticket update desk, I'm Jeff Lesson for more 97.1 The Ticket or Odyssey.com.
Live from the Jamie Samuelson Studio, Stoney and Jansen on 97.1 The Ticket.
All right, thank you, Jeff Lesson. Our telephone number, 248-539-9797. Open lines, as always. Open text. Your thoughts on NBA free agency, all the money that was dished out yesterday, and what the Pistons did, or maybe you feel what they didn't. I don't think there was a lot there for them to do. Cap-wise, this is still not a major free agent destination, and probably won't be until the team is ready to make a run, and obviously they are not there yet. All right, our producer extraordinaire, Greg Hargrave, comes up with some very interesting things in his life, and he mentioned one to us in his email for show prep last night, and then I was kind of intrigued by this.
Well, look, the main stories are the main stories, and you guys are going to have that, so I got to look for those little nooks and crannies and those, as the late Jamie Samuelson would say, have something happen to you, is what he would say.
Yeah.
So my wife hosted a PTA meeting yesterday, and one of the moms brought her kids along, to kind of hang around the house, and at some point, the youngest one asked me, "So what should I call you?" And then it just hit me that I said, "I guess you can call me Mr. Hargrave." And that sounded so weird for me to say, for having someone in a, for lack of a better term, subordinate position, like a child's, refer to me as Mr. Hargrave in that sort of authoritative way. I mean, not like the John Jansen,
more than Mr. Hargrave.
Exactly.
Yes.
A lot more than that. It just struck me as something odd that I never had anybody refer to me that way, as like a child referred to me as an adult in that manner.
I don't remember the first time I was actually referred to as Mr. Stone, but I do remember my response. Mr. Stone's my father. I have had situations with the kids. Well, this brings up another argument. Is like in our neighborhood subdivision group of people, our kids always refer to our neighbors the Bordelows. Okay, they don't refer to her as Mrs. Bordelow or Mr. Bordelow. It's always been Jenny or Mark.
Just by their first name.
Just by their first name.
Yes.
And to me, if that happened when I was growing up, that would be a major sign of disrespect. I know, speaking of Jamie, they always taught their kids to call everybody Mr. or Mrs., and I have no problem with it. I think the only time I'm really called Mr. Stone is, or at least for the first time, was the country club. And, how you doing, Mr. Stone?
They say, hello, Mr. Stone.
How you doing, Mr. Stone? I said, just don't call me Stone. It's okay. Please don't call me. And then it's respect. It's a respect thing.
Right.
I get it. But to me, it always had the appearance of being really old and hot kettle.
safety.
Right.
But for my kids, and I think it depends, like your neighbors, when your kids call them by their first name,
Right.
they have a relationship with them.
Yes.
They're friendly, and my kids have a number of relationships with my friends that are either former teammates or current coworkers. And it's like if they were to run into, I'll use, I know this will bring ridicule, Tom.
Okay.
They would say Mr. Tom. They would say Mr. and then first name.
Yes.
And for Dave Abloff over at the football office, it is Mr. Dave. That's how they refer to those that are. So we've tweaked
Yeah.
the.
I think a lot of kids do that. I mean, even some of my neighbors, they normally say Miss, which I'm all right with.
Yeah.
It sounds a little bit younger than Mrs. but Miss
Take
Heather.
exit 1 to merge onto I-94 toward Chicago.
I think
Can I
that's,
get you some tea, Miss Heather?
yeah. Yes, exactly.
There's definitely like a crossing over point, and I don't know when this happened. For example, one of my best friend's dad, he grew up in our neighborhood, or we grew up together, me and my friend in the same neighborhood, and I would refer to him as Mr. Henderson. But at some point, Mr. Henderson, he insisted on being called Dave. And I don't know, I think
home running him.
Exactly. I think I do specifically remember that at his son's wedding, that he insisted on me calling him Dave. So I'm not just sure exactly when that crossover happened from Mr. Henderson to Dave.
Well, you know what else is pretty funny? It's like when I was growing up, my parents' friends and our neighbors were never, Mr. Winkleman or
Stay in the second lane
Mrs.
from right.
Road. It was Aunt Carlene,
Right.
Uncle Jack. Even though they were not blood related, every one of my parents' friends
We're aunts and uncles.
were aunt and uncle.
Takes a village.
Yeah, which today I don't think they do anymore.
They do.
There's no right or wrong.
Use the right lane to take exit 1 to merge onto I-94 toward Chicago.
Friends in town to visit, and her kids call me Uncle John, and we're not related, but it's just what how they describe her. But I do think it's all about, if I think back to my childhood and I think to my parents' friends, like they had some really close
Take
friends,
the
Sandy
exit,
and Jeannie,
then keep right to merge
and
onto
I called
I-94
them
West.
that at that time, but those I think were the only
Use
ones.
the right lane to
Even my
keep right to
neighbor
merge onto
was Mr.
I-94
Winkler.
West toward
I
Chicago.
would never have called him by his first name, Ken. It just
or Uncle Ken.
Or Uncle Ken. Yeah, no, it was Mr. Winkler, and I don't know really where that familiarity lies, but it just seemed to. I think for some people it just fits.
Yeah, 248-539-9797. First time you were called Mr. or Miss, Mrs. whatever, and then when you were growing up, what did you call your parents' friends or other adults that you had to deal with when you were a kid?
So
they weren't like teachers or police officers or things like that.
I do want to ask Heather something though. When Greg was talking about
1.6 miles. Take
the
exit
PTA
202
meeting,
onto US 24.
did you start thinking, what? In about 5, 6
My life
years,
is about to change. I'm going to be going to
I'm gonna
PTA
be in this
meetings.
park at the PTA meeting.
Oh my gosh. No, but it definitely made me think about what will her friends call me.
Yes.
Mrs. Park? That's so weird. I'm with you, Greg. Like, that makes me feel so
Well,
old.
because of Mrs., they call you Mrs. DeCourcy.
Well, my last name is Park.
Well, I know, but you posted like.
Well, the baby's last name
is going to be right.
won't be Park.
Correct.
It will be DeCourcy.
Right.
And her last name will not be Park. But I think I would just go with I like the Miss Heather. Like, let's just call me Miss Heather, and for the rest of my life, I'd be cool with that. I like that.
It's like you're an adult, but not too adult.
Exactly.
248-539-9797.
Use the right 2 lanes to take exit 202 onto US 24.
Show respect for people. That's the most important thing. I don't think it is a lack of respect, especially if your tone is fine, to call an adult by their first name unless you're told beforehand not to.
Right, yeah. It goes back to it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Left onto Telegraph Road toward Taylor.
Towards them, it's your tone of voice, it's the actions
Use the left 2 lanes to keep left onto Telegraph Road toward Taylor.
Coming out of your mouth.
Now, Greg, how old was this young person to call you Mr.
She was 4.
Then continue onto Telegraph Road.
Well,
You could have been anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can call me Thor.
I insist you call me Coach, actually. You
Yeah,
can say
Coach,
that.
I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed that a 4-year-old even asked you that.
Me too.
That's I thought it was like a high school kid or something.
Oh, that's so sweet. You know what happened? This is during a Tigers game when it was during that big baseball bash day, and we had all different celebrities there, local sports celebrities, and I was doing a hit with Dwayne Casey, and the little contestant, I thought it was so sweet because I was such a shy kid that I would never have asked, how do I address you?
Yeah.
And she looked at him and she's like, what should I call you? And I was like, oh my gosh, like, that is so sweet that she wanted to make sure she knew how to say his name. And he was like, well, just call me Dwayne. Like, it was like, that's my name. And she's like, okay, but it was just the sweetest thing to hear kids ask an adult, what should I call you? How do I address you? And I never would have done that as a kid. I was so shy. I would have called, my mom would have said, this is John. And I would have been like, hi. And then I probably never would have said hi to John ever again. Because I was so shy.
I can't imagine calling like my parents' friends like Mr. and Mrs. It's weird.
No, I can't either.
Because we used to call them Aunt or Uncle. But I would never
Stay
call
in the
them.
left 3 lanes.
Just by their first
I would
name?
never call her like Aunt Lillian, and I would never call her Lillian.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Ticket text. Growing up on my street, it was always Mr./Mrs. first name. At my wedding, my best friend's mom told me to call her by her first name. I couldn't do it. I said, I'd rather call you Mom than her first name.
Wow.
Aunt and Uncle are pretty high up in my life. Their first name I'm 24 now. Oh, good. I'm glad that. Little different. We had a professor that insisted we call her by her first name instead of Dr. So-and-so. That's different.
Yeah.
The cops were the first ones to call me Mr. Blank. That wasn't cool. Mike at Farmington Hills.
Yes. Mr. Stone, please step out of the car.
Stoney, I have the same issue. The only place I get called Mr. rather than John is at Oakhurst Country Club. 2 years, I'm still getting used to it. It's okay. At least they know my name and are showing the try respect. You get that? Oh, on the aunt and uncle thing with my kids, with close family, friends, it's
Yeah, I think that's cool.
I do too, especially like your best friend. That this is Aunt so-and-so or Uncle so-and-so, and then hopefully you remain best friends with them forever. And
Yes.
they're always aunt and uncle.
Yeah,
That's cute.
My best friends, my kids call me first. Anyway, Heather, you have, Miss Park, you have news coming up?
Yes, I do. I've got a story about a Canadian diver that scored a very, very rare score in competition, and I'm going to get to that story next.
All right, new BetMGM customers can turn $1 into $100 when they bet on any Detroit Tigers game like tonight. Sign up for the BetMGM app using Stony100. If you bet $1 on any Tigers game, you'll get $100 in free bets, even if your wager is a strikeout.
Make a U-turn.
What a teammate BetMGM is. Discover their innovative parlay selection builders, daily promotions, boosted odds, specials, and much more. Download the app or go to BetMGM.com. Use Stony100. That's the code. You get $100 when you bet $1 on any Tigers game this season, regardless of the outcome of your wager. Only at BetMGM, the king of sportsbook and an official gaming partner of the Detroit Tigers. New customer offer. Paid in free bets must be 21 or older. Michigan only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help. Excludes Michigan disassociated person.
97.1 The Ticket. Traffic.
From the WWJ AM 950 Traffic Center, this report brought to you by St. Joseph Mercy. A stalled car is now blocking the left side on 9040 eastbound at Connor. Traffic volumes continue to build through the couple of work zones right now. 275 between South Huron Road and 94, and on 75 southbound approaching Big Beaver and Troy. Also keep in mind 75 northbound is still closed between 696 and 12 Mile. That's for ongoing emergency repairs until tomorrow afternoon. I'm Michelle Pena with traffic.
At home, in your car, or at work. Detroit's sports station.
St. Joe's urges all eligible members of the community to get vaccinated against COVID-19. Supplies and appointments are available. Learn more at stjoeshelp.org/vaccine. For St. Joe's, I'm Lyra
Turn right onto Goddard Road, then turn right onto Cornell Street.
We asked people in Michigan why they got the COVID-19 vaccine.
Because I am 24 4 weeks pregnant, and we wanted to protect our baby boy.
Get vaccinated to protect my family, protect my friends, and help our community.
Because I believe in the science.
Why did you get vaccinated?
My best friend couldn't. She caught COVID and passed away the day before her birthday. That is my why.
Be able to hug my mom again. I haven't been able to hug her in over a year.
I want to hug my grandma again. And I'm ready to get back to somewhat normal.
All the vaccines have been tested for safety and are trusted by doctors.
I'm vaccinated. I'm coming to give you a big hug. I love you, Mom.
You've got your why.
The destination is on your left. 11077 Cornell Street.